Good evening, folks, and welcome back to the View for the match day preview for Leeds' first FA Cup game of this season. Sorry about that. I could hear myself.
Good start.
Leeds' first game, first FA Cup match of this campaign. A lovely tie against local, I suppose, rivals now, in at least this sense. Harrogate Town, a lovely game to get for Leeds. I'm delighted to be joined by Andrew Stats Dalton to preview the game and have a chat. Stats, first things first, mate. How you keeping? How are things?
Yes, all good, all good. Very much looking forward to. Well, I say looking forward to it. I used to love the FA Cup as a kid, when you had 32 get cup ties. The majority on a Saturday afternoon, one on a Sunday, and one on a Monday night. And now you've got games kicking off: Everton, Peterborough tonight, Sheffield United versus Cardiff City at a very quiet Bramall Lane this evening. It just devalues the whole competition. I still have got that little bit of enjoyment about the FA Cup, and it's a bit of a real romantic tie, isn't it? Ellen Road on Saturday tea time, albeit at 5:45 kickoff between Leeds United and Harrogate Town. But yeah, looking forward to it. It should be a full house at Ellen Road, and the first time that the Sulphurites have ever travelled to Ellen Road for a competitive game.
Yeah, that'd be nice to see. We've played them every year in pre-season, pretty much without
Yes.
fail. They're in League One now. They're not a non-league club anymore. And as I think Daniel Farke said, would share an awful lot of fans between both that are be local enough to
Yes.
that area. So, yeah, and a lot of Leeds players have passed through Harrogate over the years as well. Was Ben Parker at Harrogate for a bit? Was
He
he?
was. He was.
It
I
was.
was speaking to one of the social media guys, and we're trying to make up how many players that have played for Leeds and Harrogate, and there's not that many. I think Neil Aspin is another that has played for both sides as well. So quite difficult to put an 11 out. I think Paul
It really
Pettinger,
is.
a reserve team goalkeeper from Leeds, had a spell at Harrogate as well. But yeah, not too many I can think of. Put in your comments actually if you can think of many players that have played for both Leeds and Harrogate. I don't think there'll be too many.
No, I thought there was a couple. I strangely thought Alex Cairns was there, but I don't think it was Harrogate. I know he was at Salford,
Yes.
um, but maybe he wasn't at Harrogate. But yeah, if you know any players that you think you remember, players that played for Leeds that also played for Harrogate, stick them down below as well. We'll get into it. A quick cheap plug. This is the hoodie that is currently doing the rounds on the merch store. Stats is on his way to him at the moment, so. If you want to get one of these, if you want to help to support the channel, you can do so by clicking the link in the merch store down below. And if you don't want to buy View merch, there's no problem with that. If you use that link and pick up any of the range of Leeds stock that's out there, whether it's Connor's channel, whether it's my channel, whether it's Leeds United merch that's on there, like they've got some Tanaka and Rotwell stuff, just use that link and that link will then kick back to me and supports the channel. So that's how you can do it. But yeah, we'll get to the press conference towards the back end of this. There's a couple of talking points and we'll have a chat about them. And as we always try and say, and the stats keeps reminding me because I get sucked in sometimes, keep it positive. And I will try my best to keep this positive tonight. Enough doom and gloom in the world, folks, without dragging it into your Leeds United evenings as well. So yeah, should be good banter between the Harrogate Town fans and the South Stand. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a nice game. I'm back at Ellen Road Stats as well, so we can't have to worry about the on the road form for this one.
Yes, very much so. Albeit, okay, we probably should have beaten the whole city the weekend. We've done that one now, and it's in the record books as 3-3. And yeah, it's an FA Cup tie on the Saturday. It should be
Bring the
3
mic
o'clock
down a
kickoff.
tiny bit, Stats. It's
So
just
I
a bit.
just
Yeah,
is
no, it's
that a bit
okay. It's just
better?
a bit. There you go. Yeah,
I think
sorry,
probably
mate.
catching my beard a little bit. And yeah, I still love the FA Cup. Still got memories, a lot of good memories of the FA Cup with Leeds down years. Obviously, that day at Old Trafford back in 2010 lives long in the memory. Some of the games that we've had, sort of Arsenal when Robert Snodgrass scored the penalty, which I think was 15 years ago today, or 14 years ago. I don't know where time has gone. We've not had a great FA Cup tradition. Amazingly, for a
No.
club of Leeds stature, it's 52 years since they last won the FA Cup. Alan Clark got the winning goal on May the 6th, 1972 against Arsenal, and since then we've been in one final in 1973 against Sunderland, got beat, and a few semi-finals. I think a couple of semi-finals, 77 and 87, and we haven't been up to the quarter-final stage since 2003 in the FA Cup. So it'll be about time to have a cup run. I know it's not the be-all and end-all this time round, and I know it's all about getting back into the Premier League, but it'd be nice to get a cup run and test ourselves against the best teams in the land, really.
I really hope we get a really tough game in the first round of this cup every year, so we can just get out of it and get on
Yeah,
with
I know what
things
you
and not
mean.
be worried about
Yeah.
it. Because you can't lose to Harrogate, or else the world is on fire. So if
Yes.
it's a bigger side, then maybe it's not so bad, and we can focus. Because again, we had a good cup run last year, but I think it did have an impact in the back
Yeah.
end of the season as well. I think the Chelsea game, as much as it was a great performance by Leeds, the
Hmm.
way that fell away at the end of that game and then the season seemed to just mimic the back end of
Yeah.
that and just slowly just drift off the cliff. So hopefully we don't get that issue this year, but we shouldn't have. We got to talk about the team news. Daniel Farke press conference today started
Yes.
giving us some updates on stuff. Joe Piru, which I didn't realize, playing with an injury for the last couple of weeks, and we're going to take him out of this game and give him a bit of a rest. Probably overdue. Don't want to be flogging our players at this
No.
point, especially given the issues we had with Georgie at the back end of last season.
Yeah, I think with us playing so many games in such a short space of time as well, if you look at it from the Oxford game, it's been quite relentless. Oxford, Stoke, Derby, a home game on New Year's Day. You're just brilliant. Thanks, Craig. Brilliant. We do like a bit of laughter in a full of tea rooms. Brilliant.
Sorry, that got me. Sorry, Craig, that's
Absolutely.
brilliant, Craig.
Game against Blackburn on New Year's Day and then one against Hull City. So I think somewhere along the lines and the way that we've now got another 8 days after this game and we play Harrogate. Sheffield Wednesday, that's just completely thrown me. Sheffield Wednesday
Yeah.
week on Sunday. It gives an opportunity for Daniel to sort of rest the key players. I think given Joel's done really well in recent games, got some important goals. A couple against Stoke City, of course, and of course got the third goal against Hull City on Saturday. So I think we'll probably see Mateo Joseph up top. We know Caldalo's going to play.
Yeah.
I couldn't guess the rest of the lineup. I don't know if you'll see the likes of James DeBeo, Charlie Crew. I'm guessing Luca Thomas is cup tied because I'm guessing he's already played in the competition for York City. Because I know I think he's coming back on loan.
I don't know if Luca's coming back to play for us.
No.
The vibe I got with Keane Coleman coming back is he's going to head straight back out the door and probably finish up with Leeds because he's had a contract at the end of the year.
Yeah.
As is Luca.
Yes, very much so. So I probably expect to see the likes of Giovoggi possibly play. Ampadu might continue his build up to match fitness as well. Might bring in Nonto, probably Ramazani. We've still got a very, very strong team to pick from for the game against Harrogate, and it's the first League Two side I've actually played at this stage of the competition in the history of the FA Cup, and I think I worked out it was the biggest gap between Leeds and an FA Cup third round opponent since we played Rushden in 1999, and that was 95 positions. I think this is 86 positions between the two sides. So it's a game that you'd expect Leeds to win comfortably. Harrogate will be up for it. I think they got a good victory against Barrow last time out. They are struggling at the wrong end of League Two, and it's kind of bunched up a little bit with Carlisle and Morecambe and Accrington at the wrong end of League Two. But you fully expect Leeds to be in the hat for round 4 and the FA Cup draw on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, there's a chance to get some minutes. Large Ramazani being mentioned there. You mentioned Giovoggi as well. So you've got a couple there. There will be questions, I think, asked around this game as well. We know Junior Firpo from Daniel Farke is back in team training and is available for this game at the weekend. Does he put Junior Firpo at left back, or does he finally give Isaac Schmidt some minutes, or does Isaac Schmidt have to watch another player that was out injured come in and bypass him? And if that happens, I think there's bigger questions to be asked on what's going on with Isaac Schmidt behind the scenes. And I think at some point we got to look at the player as well, and it can't just be the manager. It's got well, what's he showing behind the scenes if he's not getting in? There's a lot there to unpack. Good news though, Pascal Stroke back in training, but won't be involved in this game, which is smart as well. There's no point in injuring anybody in this match. You could even see Gilovogui play centre back for this match. Very likely. I would be surprised if James DeBoyo starts. I don't think Daniel Farke will go crazy on the young players because he's seen what's happened to Leeds in the past.
Yes.
By taking this chance, and we Bielsa famously used to always put the kids in and we'd get battered and we'd get knocked out. So I don't think he'll do that. It is an important competition for him as well. He'll want to at least get past this round. So, but a lot of fringe players, Joffe could be involved.
Yes.
Probably will be involved. Whether he starts or not remains to be seen. But good news on Ilya Gruev, back in training and way ahead of schedule. He's back in doing the light side of team training, which is important. It doesn't mean he's available this weekend. It means he's on his way back. But great news to hear. Stats that Gruev is back. It's another midfield option that adds to what we've got. And with this month being this month, an area Daniel Farke definitely doesn't have to have a look at all.
Yeah, very much so, and it's great that Grove's coming back. And I think when you've got 20 league games left, you need all hands to the pump at the moment. Is Firpo back in, fully fit then for
Back in team training,
Saturday?
yeah. Yeah.
Fabulous. So I probably would expect him to possibly start on Saturday. I don't think Byron will start that one on Saturday after Saturday team time. So you've got a strong enough squad to beat Harrogate, and yeah, let's not have a cup upset or cup set, as they say, on Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, and be in that draw after the Arsenal Man United game on Sunday. Look at the draw and go from there. And winning breeds confidence, doesn't it? It doesn't matter what competition you're in, whether it's a League Cup, FA Cup, whatever. The league games, if you keep winning games, it does breed confidence ahead of a very tough Yorkshire derby side against a Danny Roll side who are improving week by week at Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, we'll park that one till next week. But yeah, you want to get into the fourth round. Amazingly, we've not reached the fourth round for 3 consecutive seasons since 2001. So we've not had a great cup run, and we've never had a great cup run sort of in my lifetime. I remember the furthest we got in my lifetime was the quarters in 2003 when Sheffield United cup doubled us. So look, I love a cup run, but I don't think we're not gonna win the cup. It's very unlikely you
No,
get
we're not.
a tier 2 side getting all that way. I know Cardiff got to the final in 2008, but that was nearly 20 odd years ago. So, but yeah, let's get confidence, let's score a few goals, and let's enjoy a comfortable victory. And I'm sure Harrogate will enjoy the day out as well.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. It's great, and as someone has already said, it'd be great for their players to get a game out in Ellen Road as well. So nice to see that. Andrew, Jerry joined Leeds United, not divided United. That is what Daniel Fracas said. Not in that way. Leeds United, not Leeds divided.
Yes.
But I get the point that he was making, and I will make a very clear point, Andrew. I don't support managers. I support Leeds United Football Club. I support the badge on the front of the chest and nothing on the back of the shirt.
Yeah.
So I will always be objective when it comes to everybody in charge of Leeds and look at it objectively, so good and bad. So yeah, we'll cover all sides of it. We don't ignore the obvious either. We won't. Do we actually need an extra hassle of a cup game? No, we don't. And I don't think it's anything we should worry about long term either. My memories of any cup competition and my brother lauding Aston Villa beating Leeds in the League Cup over me for decades. So I don't want to, the less of that in my future, the better. Stats. So we know the big news around the fitness, but the interesting one that's come out, Patrick Bamford has picked up a hamstring injury again.
Yeah.
And this was what I thought was a little bit of a hamstring strain that would only rule him out of the last game. Now Daniel Farke is saying it could be anything from 3 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So definitely back in 3, possibly not till 6, which gives you middle of February.
Yes.
When he's coming back, and we're on the back end of the season. Before we get to the statistics that you gave me before the game, just your thoughts on this, because my personal opinion, and I'm grateful for everything that Pat has done for Leeds in the past, but I think we're past talking about Patrick Bamford as a realistic option for Leeds United.
I feel for him. I really do. And he must be thinking, here we go again.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because when you miss so many games, it gets frustrating. And I'm sure mentally it gets frustrating for him as well. We're not just talking about the injuries, we're talking away from football as well. And he must be kicking his heels. The Pat Bamford that we signed back in 2018 and 2019, 2020 was absolutely brilliant. The season we won promotion was brilliant. His first full season in the Premier League was absolutely fantastic. 17 goals, absolutely fantastic return. And unfortunately, since then, if for one reason or another, he's just picked up little knocks. And I know he's got another contract, or his contract runs until next summer. Yeah, 2026. I can't see it being renewed. I'd be very surprised if it's being renewed. That's not against anything that's happened.
No.
I just think if you're having a squad, you need players fully fit, don't you? And what Paddy's done for Leeds, he was part of the team that got Leeds back to the Premier League and had that magnificent first season back in the Premier League, and he's not been quite the same player. It'll be interesting to see if anything comes in the summer for him. Obviously, he's not going to leave in January, but I think it's one to look at whatever league we're in come 25-26 season. I feel for him. I really do. He has a run of games and then picks up a knock, has a run of games, picks up a knock, and it's kind of a bit of deja vu with Paddy. And he's an experienced head, as Daniel said, to have around the place. But when you pick up so many injuries, it's very difficult to keep going. And mentally, it must be quite difficult for him.
Yeah, Craig is saying it there. Unfortunately, nice guys finished last, and unfortunately, he's a great person, but not great as a player. Not anymore
Yeah.
because of the saying that goes: the best ability is availability, and unfortunately, Paddy's just not being available for Leeds. So, yeah, look, that's an issue. I think the issue more seriously for looking forward for Leeds is you just couldn't start Pat Bamford because you don't know how long you're going to get out of his
Mm.
hamstrings before they go. I mean, he comes on the back end of the game against Blackburn, and that's what does him. You know, one sprint, and all of a sudden, that's him done there for 6 to 8 weeks. So, yeah, look, it's not a great idea. Andy asking if I was a betting man, would I do Ramazani and Schmidt for full games? I think they need to get some minutes, especially Ramazani needs more minutes under his belt. Um, Statsy Awards asking where can he find your book?
It's on Amazon. If you type my details into Amazon, it's all on there. The history of the friendlies that we released last July. I think it's £15.99 on Amazon, and yeah, it's a labour of love, shall we say, that I did
It's a
with
great
Mark
read.
Ledyard. Thank you. Yes,
It's a great read.
it's brings back a lot of memories, and if you're having cold nights at winter when the weather's not too good, there you can just go ahead and read about the friendlies
Yeah.
and the trialists that played for the football. There's some great names in there, and especially when we played as far as Jacobs and the Irish teams as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, so some
I got to
really
see
good.
loads of the
Yeah,
trialists come over here. I always get to see them
absolutely.
every when they used to come over here.
I think when we played
It's
Shelbourne in 2007, that Dennis Wise brought a whole load of tries because the club was in such a
fair.
mess. So some great names in there.
I have a picture I got with Noel Hunt in Talca Park.
Oh,
When he
fantastic.
was playing that year. There's tons of them. I got memories going back for those games years ago. Um I got Gary Speed's autograph in the middle of the park. I think I told you this before.
You did.
Basically, I was a kid and I snuck under the railing and ran across the park to Gary McAllister, and he wouldn't sign my autograph book because I told him inside he wasn't to sign autographs on the pitch. And then I ran over to somebody else, and then they were like, "No, can't do it." I think it was Nigel Worthington, can't do it. And then I was
Oh,
running off the pitch, and Gary Speed just grabbed me and goes, "Here," and he had something in his hand. He had my book in one hand and a ball in the other one. And I handed him my pen. He grabbed it in his teeth and he mumbled something at me. And I was just nodding and smiling, going, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah." And then he says, took the pen out of his mouth and goes, "No, can you just hold the pen lid for me?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, sorry, of course I can." Yeah. And then he
brilliant.
signed it and he walked me off the park, which was lovely. So I have some lovely memories of Leeds games coming over here. And Gary Kelly's debut was in the Leeds
Yes.
shirt over here as well. First game he played
Yes.
against Wales and Talk, or League of Ireland Select, I think it might have been actually.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, you will find yourself reading that book, and every couple of minutes you'll go, "Jesus, him!
Yeah.
God, I remember
Yeah.
him."
Yeah.
They'll just pop back into your head.
And it's something
Um,
I'm very proud of as well to have
you
written.
should be.
And it's hard work writing books, especially when you work 24/7 or when you're working 9 to 5 every day, and you come home and you're putting your laptop on, you're up till 3, 4 in the morning. It's hard work, but good fun as well.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is because it's historical as well, so you don't have to worry about it in the
Yes,
future. You can look back and go, "Jesus, how did
absolutely.
you get a contract?" Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. So go check that out on Amazon if you want to. That's the other big conversation. It's been asked in the chat, or has it's been worded in the chat by PBDS. Be interested to see if Melier is on the bench on Saturday. I don't think he will be. I think they'll go with Kearns and the bench, and I think they'll go with Darlow and goal, give him a full
Yes.
week off.
Yeah.
But going with what Daniel Farkas said in the press conference today, he was very hard on Melier at the start of it, and I
Yeah.
thought that's Melier out of the team now for a while. And then he was very positive about Melier, talking about backing your goalkeeper, which we said last week. You've got a choice. You do one or the other. You either
Yeah.
double down and take him out, or you back him to the hilt.
Yeah.
I got the impression that Melier could come back in for Sheffield Wednesday. What did you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, it sounds like that. And I think Daniel's stuck in a bit of a hard place, a rock and a hard place, and you can't. He's never going to publicly slam Melik. 'Cause you wouldn't do that as a
No, you
manager.
can't do that.
You won't throw a player, whoever you're, under the bus. And I'm sure privately, both Daniel and Ilan. Well, Ilan is a kid. He's 24, and I know that he's very hard on himself and he's very self-critical of himself, and I think he'll be disappointed obviously with the performance at Hull on Saturday, but he'll get his head down, and if that is the case, you then have to back him. What I'm a bit worried of is that there'll be a lot of ironic cheers at Ellen Road next Saturday, or next Sunday should I say, which unfortunately is part of the parcel. At the end of the day, Daniel sees them in training every day. He can make the decisions, and as supporters, you have to back that. And whether we think it's right or we think it's wrong, it's not us that's making the choice. At the end of the day, it's the manager that's making the choice, and managers live and die by decisions that they make on the pitch. So yeah, by the sounds of it, it sounds like Melier will start against Sheffield Wednesday next week. That's up to him, and I think if you have made a mistake, the only way is to rectify it is go back out there
Yeah,
and
fix it.
perform to your level. So
Tough though.
yeah,
Tough for a
it's a hard
goalkeeper.
one. It's a very tough one, as we've always said on this show, time and time again. If you're a goalkeeper and you make a mistake, you're going to be in the public eye, unfortunately. And had
Mm.
Leeds gone on to win that game against Hull City, it would have been a completely different story. But yeah, they're the decisions that the manager's got to take, and as supporters, you just have to respect them and get on with them.
Yeah. Midship asking any truth in Roland. No, zero truth in that at all. I don't know where you heard that one coming
No,
from, mate, but there's nothing. There won't be any defenders leaving Leeds in
no.
January. Just won't be happening. They haven't got enough. So anyone suggests a defender, I know Spurs and other clubs are looking at Stroke, but that's not going to happen.
No.
Just one thing I did want to cover with the Bamford stuff we were talking about, and people said the interesting statistic there is on Patrick Bamford. Stats told him before the game, before we started. He's missed 107 games in total through injury since he's been at Leeds. And when you take that plus the games that he has played, which is 198, the total potential games for Pat Bamford was 305 games in total that he could potentially play. And he's missed 35% of them since he's been at the club, which is a huge amount of games. It's basically missing nearly 1/3 or just over a third of the total amount of games that are available to him, which is yeah, you can't put your hat on that and guarantee yourself anything with that number. So yeah, we'll obviously won't be until the end of the season, but I would imagine we move away at the end of the season and we'll see what happens then. But if we get promoted, he goes back to big Premier League money as well, which the club will have to consider from PSR and with Joffrey as well, because he's on a Premier League salary as well. So all that needs to be taken into consideration when they decide to do what they do in the summer. On the topic of young players, so we talked about this on Only Leeds Bros podcast the other night. We were talking about what do we do with the young lads on the bench, and I was saying, look, Daniel Farke last year had a bench with probably 3 to 4 players on it that never got used, that he clearly didn't look at as people that could impact the game in any way, or didn't trust them enough to play them, so didn't. This year, it's James DeBio, Joe Gelhardt, Charlie Crew. Now, the argument is they're younger players, with the exception of Joffrey, who's been around for a bit. They're not playing football. Outside of the Bio, Crew's not playing on 21 football either because he's involved with the matchday squad for the first team. So he has to be part of there for that kind of stuff. So he can't play on 21s. And it looked like they could be sitting on the bench and stunting their development a little bit. And as has been said by somebody else, for around Joe Gelhardt, possibly holding some young players to hostage just because we need to fill a bench. But Daniel Farke seems to have softened on that stats. And today he made the point of that there will be young players that are in and around the squad. None that have started recently was the caveat.
Yes.
But they will go out on loan, and I have to believe that that's Charlie Crew that's going to head out on loan.
Yeah, it's very difficult, isn't it, with a young player's progression that you want to play football, but you also want to be in and around a club where you've nurtured at Leeds United. Leeds United have got a wonderful reputation for bringing young kids through. Charlie Crew hasn't really featured, has he, this season? Like he's played one game, I think, against Plymouth, if
Off
memory
bench
serves me
twice.
right.
Yeah, Plymouth and somebody else.
And the same with Sam Chambers as well. And it's difficult because if you do get injuries in the run-in between now and the end of the season, between May the 3rd against Plymouth, you are going to need a backup team. You're going to need players, aren't you, that to come in and what have you. So I think the players might look at it like King Commons come back from Bucks, hasn't he? This time round, Luca Thomas has come back from York City. I probably would expect them to probably go out on loan as well. It's where Daniel sees them amongst the first team squad. You have to rely on, for me, 20 players between now and the end of the season. You're going to pick up injuries, you're going to pick up suspensions. It's part and parcel of it, and you may need some of these players to come in, being around the match day squad. Obviously, a lot depends on injuries and suspensions and see what's what. They may see it as an opportunity to go and play first team football and then progress and come back and be better players once they played first team football. So I think from what Daniel sort of said in the pre-match today, that you possibly look at the likes of Charlie Crew maybe going out on loan. Joffrey, we don't know the full situation yet, although it was interesting that he did say it's not dependent on Patrick Bamford's injury. What you don't want is a situation where you've got Paddy out injured and then one of Joel or Matteo pick up an injury, and then you are kind of back to square one, whether you've got a situation where you can recall Joffrey if he does go out on loan. So yeah, I think you may see 1 or 2 loans go out that are kind of on the periphery of the first team squad at the moment, but that won't be the be and end all that, just to help their development over the course of the rest of the season, really.
Yeah, it's needed as well. I just want to put something up on the screen real quick. It's just been going around our little group chat that we have with the other YouTubers. And this is, as you were talking about stats, this is what the FA Cup looks like on a Thursday night.
Is this Sheffield United? Yeah.
Look at that.
Ridiculous.
2 championship clubs and an empty stadium.
Yeah.
So for all the money in football, that's sometimes tradition. I mean, Ange Postecoglou's talked about this an awful lot. I like Ange Postecoglou. Like I watch a lot of Celtic, and he was the manager there and did great there. And I like his directness. He might not be going great for him at Spurs, but the man doesn't talk crap. He talks sense and logic and says things as they are. And he made a great point today. Just leave the game alone for a while.
Yeah.
Just leave it. Why does it? And he said, there's a great song in the UK or England, like "It's Coming Home." You're the safeguardians of football. This is your sport. You like to think that it's your sport. Stop mucking around with it. And why does it take an Aussie to come all the way over here to tell you leave it alone for 5 minutes? I think a lot of it's just down to people justifying positions. They've been given these roles of innovation in sport and whatever. And they have to justify it by doing something, but just absolutely nuts.
As I sort of tweeted earlier, I love the FA Cup, and growing up as a kid, it was brilliant. And FA Cup final grandstand started at 9 in the morning, and would have it's a knockout. Footballers playing snooker, I think in the 86 and 89 cup finals between Liverpool and Everton, and it was great watching the road to Wembley, interviewing celebrity supporters on Wembley Way, interviewing the referee, having the background, having all sorts going on cup final day. And now you get an hour's build up and that's it. And unfortunately, the competition has been so devalued by the FA that all the money is to get into the Champions League, to get into the Premier League, and it's absolutely no surprise to see Bramwell Lane 3/4 empty. I know we can only see the Kop stand there at Sheffield United, but it's just Thursday night when you've had 2 League Cup semi-finals, one on a Tuesday night, one on a Wednesday night, and now you've got an FA Cup tie on a Thursday night. It just doesn't.
And it's winter, and it's bloody cold, and up north has been hit. It's the entire Kop. But it's also the main stand on the far side as well.
They've got stewards in the Kop, which I can't quite understand because there's no supporters there.
Sitting down watching the game because there's no fans to watch.
It doesn't sit easy with me. I know Ellen Road will be packed as it always is on Saturday tea time. But Thursday night football just even when Leeds were in the UEFA Cup back in 99, 2000, 2001, Thursday night football was quite weird going to it after school and then having games on a Sunday. But look at that. It just devalues the whole competition. We have the same discussion over and over again with the FA Cup, and it used to be a great competition, but that's abysmal, isn't it?
It's shocking. And to be honest with you, it's no slant on Sheffield United. You can't blame their fans. The rate of games that come in the Championship, the amount of matches you're expected to fork out money for, the price of tickets, the price of getting there, everything's crazy. It's freezing cold outside, but I really want to go out on that. And the FA Cup is Saturday afternoon. It's Saturday afternoon. I don't care. Take a break for a week. Or maybe, do you know what? Be smarter. Instead of giving people 7-day gaps between breaks, don't put 3 games in 5 days.
Exactly.
Space them out better.
Yeah.
Sorry, little soapbox rant there.
No, agree with you.
Sometimes football should be traditional, and it's not backwards to think things should be traditional. I think you should keep it as it is. Anyway, moving on. Right. Max Ferber also, by the way, has an issue with his knee. Farkas says any kind of lengthy gameplay, he seems to end up with a swollen knee afterwards, and he's just had an operation. So I think that's going to have to get looked at against that.
Yeah, potentially, and it's potentially to look at one at the end of the season as well. Now he's come back from a year out on loan. So, it's another one to keep an eye on. And just interesting, 3 o'clock kick replays. I think that happened in 73-4 when we had a 3-day working week due to strikes or strike action or something. So, gone are those days. But 3 o'clock replays on a midweek is very odd. -8 in Sheffield. There you go. Sums it up. And that's not the point of that Sheffield United have got. It's -8 degrees. And having it on Thursday night, just...
They've been deducted 8 points because it's cold outside. No, wouldn't that be great? Look, I won't keep going around the houses about it, but I just think that, and I used to always say this when I worked at Microsoft.
Yes. Big
companies and big organizations need a common sense department.
Of course.
And this common sense department should just be the most cynical person you can find. Sit them in an office on their own and you have to go in and give your proposal to these people. We want to play FA Cup matches in the north of England in January at night time. Yeah. And someone's going to just be able to say to them, are you nuts?
Yeah. And it's
that's
like,
as cold as it's gonna get.
I feel sorry for the Peterborough fans because the team has never played Everton at Goodison Park, and some supporters have had to take the kids out of school because it's one in a lifetime opportunity to go and
Yeah.
visit a Premier League ground. And it's not the kids' fault, it's not the family's fault. They want to go and support the team, and I don't blame them. I know there was a little story going around with a Newcastle fan who was spotted on TV at Arsenal this week, and he got an unauthorised absence. But that's what football's all about, making memories. And unfortunately, the big wigs at TV and the FA, I think, need to get their heads together, certainly for next season, and work out a way of going back to being better with the FA Cup because it's still England's premier competition.
Yeah, and it should still be the biggest cup competition in the world. It always used to be. It was the most famous. I'm Irish, and we all know the Irish-English history, but as a kid, I didn't grow up dreaming about playing Lansdowne Road at the Aviva Stadium. I grew up thinking about playing an FA Cup final in Wembley. That was the dream of every kid growing up. I've friends with tattoos of the silhouette of themselves and their dad with the Wembley arch in front of them. Like, that's how important those kind of moments were to kids.
Absolutely.
And it's just great. It's just money. At some point, we're not going to win this argument, but at some point, I think enough money is enough money. And let's just do the right thing by the fans. But as Jimmy Kerr's going around trying to sort things out, and Mickey Kerr's trying to sort the world out of football, nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to listen because the people in charge are the clubs, and that's the end of that. They want the money. So anyway, stats. We'll briefly touch on Daniel Farke's press conference and the January transfer window, and I'll be a little bit different because there's mixed reactions in the chat, and I think that's very fair. Mm-hmm. Some people are looking at it and saying we could do something in the transfer window. Some are looking at and saying we're absolutely not doing anything in the transfer window based on today's press conference. I think Farke tried to tread the line of give you something but nothing at the same time, and kind of gave a little bit to both sides. And I like to read between the lines of Daniel Farke, and I like to watch his body language because I think that when he's uncomfortable about talking about something, he tends to do this.
Yeah.
And the head goes down and he starts to play. And that's when he doesn't want to talk about something. And there was a couple of moments where, for me, he said there's one or two positions that we'll stay awake with. And that to me, and when he says stay awake to me, that means in his version of the English language, we're keeping an eye on those two spots. It's and Graham Smith, I have to give Graham Smith a huge amount of credit because he pushed the envelope with the January one, saying, like, I mean, because Farke did say, and it was a strange answer for me when asked about January plans, that we've got Gruev back and we've got Firpo back, two positions that Leeds shouldn't even be looking at players in this window. So not really a relevant answer. But he did say, Graham did push it with him going, well, what happens if you get an injury? And he said, we'll have to look at that. The issue for Leeds last year, Stats, was the injuries came after January. And then we were in trouble. So what were your thoughts on that part of it? Do you think he's just being political?
I think it's difficult because you don't want to show your hand, do you? Pre-match press conference, especially when we're only the start of January. And I understand supporters sort of doing this and this when other teams are strengthening. But the way I see is wait till February the 2nd. Do I think players will come in? I think probably will. I think they probably will. I think he's playing his cards very close to his chest, and I think one or two may come in. I'm not going to name those because I've got no idea in all honesty. But I think he will be looking to add to the squad, and I'm sure he always is. I'm not a fan of the January transfer window because it's sometimes not Leeds, but you can have panic buys, can't you? At this time of year, when you do get to February the 2nd, you think, oh God, we've not done this, we've not done that. Let's get a player in. So, yeah, I still think a couple coming. I might be wrong, and I'll hold my hands up if I am. But it's January the 10th today, is it? 9th today? A lot of time. I think fans are just getting in a tiz because other teams are strengthening, and Leeds at this moment in time aren't. I don't know if they're going to Everton. That'll be David that's David Moyes written all over it. But yeah, I think he's just playing his cards close to the chest and doesn't want to let out this because that's how Leeds work. They do things very quietly. Nobody knew Joe Rothwell was coming in the summer. So yeah, I think, in my opinion, that there'll be a couple of players that will join the club between now and for the end of the season.
Yep, I would agree as well. And again, as has been said there very well by Shane, Farke is saying he's not looking, but he is. It's look over there, everyone, and then sneak one in the back here. I think it would be silly to not do it, but there's interesting things happening. Like the Berisha link was this week on a striker. Lati Lack came out this week as a link as well. And Joe Donoghue has gotten sources from Leeds to tell him that both of those are untrue and Leeds aren't looking at either of those two. But it seems unusual in a world where Leeds don't let anything leak out that the club is actively telling people that that's not an accurate story and that's not an accurate story. but they're not doing that for every single link that's popped up, and there's been other ones that have popped up as well. So it's an interesting one. We will see how the window pans out. We can only guess up until now. Going back to the game, briefly stats before we wrap up. What are your thoughts going the game? Do you think he'll experiment loads, or do you think it'll be a mix of what we have already with a couple of supplementary additions?
It'll probably be a mix, really. I think it's difficult. You don't want to completely upset the apple cart, do you? You want to continue a bit of continuity. I think you'll see probably, like I say, Ramazani will probably start. I think Nonto will start. Schmidt we may see involved. Ferper may come back in from injury. Obviously Darlow will definitely start, and Mateo Joseph will start, and possibly Gilavodji will start. But you've got options there, haven't you? And I think whatever team he starts with on Saturday will be strong enough to put a place in the 4th round.
Yeah. On the Irish player, I think it's Amabama Deli, and I don't think it's happening.
Yes.
I don't think it's going to happen.
That's one from Nottingham Forest, isn't it?
Yeah, good centre back, and it might be something to look at next season. But he's a very, very good centre back. He's very good with the ball at his feet. Fits an awful lot of what Farke likes. Farke gave him his debut at Norwich as well. So, yeah, I think that's possibly one for further down. There's a wrestling conversation going on this chat as well, which I love. By the way,
yes.
Love that.
I think they used to have it at the FA Cup final, like in the morning, like they did all sort of odd sports. I think Giant Haystacks, Big Daddy, I think he was.
Leeds put that in.
It was brilliant, and yeah, FA Cup brilliant. It was brilliant back in the 70s and 80s on ITV from what I've watched on the big match and the whole build-up of it. But unfortunately, you don't get that anymore with the FA Cup because the money is kind of taken over.
Yeah, live from Batley Town Hall. Now better. Yeah, correctly. I'm still wrestling. Yeah, I love that. Love that. Give me a score prediction, stats. We've no idea what the team's going to be. Give me a score prediction.
I've gone 5-0. We haven't scored 6 in a game since QPR, in case people are asking. We haven't scored 7 in a game since Southampton in 1972, and we haven't scored 8 in a game. I'm not sure. I don't think it'll be 8 since 1932, I think, against Leicester City. So there you go.
Herbert, let's hope that doesn't happen.
I could do without extra time and penalties, thank you very much. Of course, there's no replays.
Lansman already looked scary, Jerry. Atmosphere, yeah. Come here, I go to Irish indie wrestling company called OTT. Yes. I go to see them every month in Dublin, my brother. And small little community centres, apart from 4 times a year, which they do the National Stadium. But they're brilliant. They're great. Yeah. It's a great night out. It's great crack. Suspend your belief for 10 minutes and just go and enjoy yourself. And then finally, folks, you're going to get sick of this, and I promise I'll stop doing it soon. If you want to do the merch and get involved with the merch, the stuff is available in the link down below. This hoodie is one of those designs. There's 3 different designs. There's the standard view with the smiley. The reason the smiley's behind, by the way, someone asked about that, is that's the Leeds United off the title, Leeds United, the view. Yes. We couldn't write Leeds United because LUTV is already in use by somebody. Yes. You can guess who. But yeah, there's different options there. The microphone in front, just a standard view one's there. The mic in the view, which is probably going to be the new channel logo soon coming. We're working on that one. But it's a hard one to see. If I can zoom in. There we go. It's a lovely little microphone just stuck between the V. So if you want to do that, you can. That supports the channel. And again, there's other stuff there. There's some cracking Tanaka merch, and they have a number 8 Joe Rothwell t-shirt, which is really, really nice as well. You can get all of them by clicking that link down below and give us a dig out. Right, stats, that'll be it for us. Thanks to everybody who is in the chat talking. Herbert's gone 33-0, not 3-3. That's better, much better. 6-0, 7-0 Arthur, and Nonto hat-trick. Nonto could start up front for me. That could be something to keep an eye on as well. Right, I'm going to go. It has been a pleasure, Einar, and I hope you all have a great rest of your evening. I'll be back tomorrow morning with the news, and I think I'm probably going to put the warm-up out tomorrow night late, and then it'll be there for you all day Saturday as well to crack on. And then there's supposed to be a watch along over on Big Up, but we're having a bit of an issue getting the Harrogate logo and name put onto the channel, which means that I can't create the stream just yet. But we're working on that, and should that go well, you'll see it. I'll put it in the community tab here. I'll put it out on Twitter as well so everyone sees it. So that'll be there. Right, stop talking. Let's go. Sats, have a good evening, mate. Thanks for joining me.
You too, sir. Thank you.
See you guys. Bye.